Hey everybody, welcome to episode 114 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. And jingle. Welcome back. I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben. BT, how you doing?
Hey, yeah, I'm doing great, thanks.
Good. And, well, I say as is with always, although I think Trips has had a couple of weeks off it. Trips is with us too today. How you doing, Trips?
Good evening, gents. All good. Thank you very much.
Sadly, Milton couldn't make it tonight because I believe his words were, my daughter sneezed in my mouth, and he's been poorly for a couple of days.
Nothing like family sharing.
I know. Apparently, yeah. I thought it was an excellent description. Yeah, I think that's probably about right. But we're also joined by our Patreons today. This is our live stream. We got a bunch of folks in chat, which is wicked. But we're not just here to chat with them today, although we will do. So, guys in chat, and just pop your questions in, and we'll talk along as we go. But BT, episode 114, man. What are we talking about today?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about if unofficial teams are, good, bad. I probably won't do that again, but, because they're always good. We're going to be talking about unofficial teams in Blood Bowl and why they're good. I don't think it's going to be hard to disagree with this one.
No, actually, I've got a pretty compelling case.
You've got some talking points.
Yeah, we got some good stuff. We were talking about doing a round table again because Ben suggested this before, and it turned into a really good episode. So we might try something along the lines of that. But if you guys, we'll try. But I don't mind subbing in for the side of potential concerns, because I've had one of those days at work where I'm feeling antagonistic and I'm having to question and remind people of how stupid things are all day long, from the moment I woke up to about an hour ago, because
the resident corpo, all good.
Just optimizing things. Anyway, yes, we're going to be having that conversation along with the usual hobby and games and news and good stuff. And that recording, I'm just going to check. I hate that my laptop flags up red. It's like you've only got 40 gig left of your hard drive. I'm like, that's fine, that's plenty. BHPC. Although when I did that painting video, it took up 22 gig of space, which was
impressive.
Absolutely absurd. It's because the PTZ cameras, they chuck in there and it just makes any video I make with it just like, oh yeah, that's a gig. It's like a minute intro. It's like, that'll be 1 gig, please. And then I export it as 1080p from my iPhone, so it all just seems very stupid. Hey everybody, welcome to with always. Apparently, yeah.
That'd be like a 3-year upload from your internet as well.
It is an overnight job. As it's running the labour model at the moment. It's about 6 hours to upload the podcast, which is why I cannot wait to move. Even though the 2 of the houses we're looking at the end of this week are old people bungalows. One of them legitimately looks haunted. Which I personally am very excited about. Tiff has mixed feelings. Big fan of Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures. So maybe that would be like a bargaining point. And I could be like, I could be your own Zach Bagans. We could get affected. Anytime you have a bad mood, Ben was affected.
Just get one of those little infrared cameras and walk around. And
do you know what? Have you ever watched any of the Paranormal Activity movies?
I think like the first couple, like years and years ago.
There's one of them which has the Xbox Connect, and you know how the Xbox Connect puts like the little green dots out, out. Well, you can't see the dots, but you can see them on an IR camera, and it has the creepiest scene in all of the ghost movies I've ever seen, which is just this human shape moving through the dots on an IR camera. Just like recording of a living room. I've got chills thinking about it because it's just the most like horrifying thing where you just see the shape just move in the dots. It's just horrid. It's just horrid. Anyway, yeah, hopefully we'll get the haunted house. Anyway, just going to check in chat. Although we probably should do stuff. Even bonus. Matt Kerr, how you doing? I engraved a Blood Bowl logo onto leather coaster the other day. That's pretty cool. Bonehead Ben hates the squigs. Confirmed. Whoa. That is just Ghost Hunters taps. I love it. They use the SLS camera as well, which makes me very happy. But I'm getting.
I'm in like a ghost hunting video game binge at the moment, and like, yeah, these are all the terms I only know for video games now. Turning Gen Z, more Gen Z by the day.
Which is the good gen? Is Gen Z the bad gen?
No, we like Gen Z.
Which is the TikTok gen?
Yeah, it's Gen Z.
Oh, okay, fine. I mean, I like all gens, especially the next generation is my favorite one. Star Wars plug. I love it.
It's tragic.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Andrew in chat picks up on that one, as he's my Star Trek buddy. Anyway, we've got some news. Let's go to this camera. Let's take this off there. Click. And then we go and we press this button here. Sorry, guys, in chat, this is probably the least exciting it could possibly be. But I guess we brand this as behind the scenes, which is, I think, what you're supposed to do when something's rubbish. No, it's behind the scenes. It's behind the scenes. Gen Z is Zoomers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I hate Zoom with a passion. I don't think that's got.
It's terrible.
I also hate Teams. But Zoom is the worst. I love Google, as you know, by me dragging you guys onto Google to do this.
Does the job.
It does.
Better than Skype.
And also,
Easy as Skype. I remember that.
Oh yeah, man, Skype was trash. Discord was pretty good.
Discord is pretty good. Still the best option.
We only transitioned over to Google so I could record it if it all went wrong, didn't I?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Discord's quite a good place to find documents that shouldn't be available in public forums.
Oh, I saw that too. Although, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
America.
Yeah.
That's like a really secret team.
The funny thing is, it's just like, I think I'm in a lot of Discord groups where that thing could happen. People get like really wound up and annoyed, and they're just like, no, I've got documents to prove it, actually. I probably know the guy. That's
terrifying. Ooh, Stoney says, I thought BTS was Ben's tech skills. Blood Tithe Ben has some legitimate tech skills. I have the kind of tech skills that was demonstrated by a mixture of MacGyver and the A-Team. That's kind of that mixed with Battlestar Galactica. I've used cables until it works. It's awesome. It's great for all sorts. DIY.
There's always
tech.
another cable.
Yeah. First aid. It works for all things. Yes, that's technically what human bodies are.
I think the only difference is like my degree's in tech skills, so it looks better, but I think we both do the exact same thing. Like, I think you can just say that person has tech skills, but I think anyone who's remotely competent with technology just MacGyvers everything anyway.
Yeah,
so.
It's a horrible moment of realization, isn't it? When you get into a room with a bunch of people and you're like, cool, we're the experts. These guys are the experts. And they're like, I don't know, mate, Google it. Like,
yeah.
You're like, cool. I was like, wow, I really love this piece of work you've done. Like, how did you pull it off? And they're like, I don't know, just copied some stuff from the internet, used some other bits and made it work. And I was like, well, I could have done that. And they're like, yeah, exactly. Like,
you're one of the experts.
Welcome. Yes, it's horrible being an SME, a subject matter expert in a room, and you're just like,
oh god,
why is it so hard for you all to Google this? I don't understand. But yeah, anyway, we're back on my day. But we need to move on from that. And I'll press record and we'll talk Blood Bowl news. Okay, so Blood Bowl news, we're kind of in the quiet period. It feels like monthly now, guys. It goes like beginning of the month is just like, boom, loads of stuff. And then we get this nice little quiet bit, like in the middle of the month where everything's kind of calm, although the month is running away with us. There is one teeny tiny bit of Games Workshop news, and then there's a big thing I want to talk about from Games Workshop. So the first bit is that Cindy and Puggy have been released. They went up for sale on ForgeWorld last week. I was gonna. I don't know. I do need to pick them up. I think to do an unboxing review, but they're not high priority. And I love the models, but the finger in the sandwich, just the thought of that being in cast resin just upsets me. Like that just that is just one stun away from just being wrecked. So a little bit worried about that. But I mean, he's painted in the Green Bay Packers colours, so. Although, as evidenced by my most recent hobby video, painting things in green is a terrible thing to do with the green screen. I got to the end of the video, I was like, look at the green flames of the tree. And I was like, and it's invisible. Yeah. I was like, that's okay. What about this guy? He looks cool too. And he's got no head because he's invisible. I was like, oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah, with the black backdrop.
That's it. We need more brown paints. That's what we need. I even went with pink. I put pink on it. Because Tiff was like, I like these colours. I was like, okay, they look like high vis. That's fine. You know, I approve of safety. This is wonderful. And painted them thusly, and then they became invisible. But anyway, yeah, we got Sidney Pybus and Puggy Bacon Breath. Star player wise, what are we waiting for then? What else?
It's news to me that these are released. I swear we've talked about Cindy and Puggy being released on the last 3 podcasts. This is really the first time they're getting.
It's the whole.
Yeah, they
show
came out on
you
Friday.
The they tease you the miniature, and then they finally go, "Oh, by the way, you can buy it on Friday." And everyone goes, "Okay."
This is Mandela effect real hard. Like, I swear to God, these came out.
Well, I think this also
came out with the tree.
Well, this might be the whole like, no, Ripper's been out for ages. But no, that was brute fun. Yeah,
now you're just gaslighting me.
Yeah, but Puggy's been out for ages. No, that was brute fun too. Like, yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, I like it. I like it. Here we go. I got some great stuff. It's actually brute fun in chat. He says, as someone that used to work tech support, we were talking about this a second ago, can you fix this? Let me Google your error message is the appropriate response. But his comment on Puggy Bacon Breath is, that's not quite how sandwiches work. And that is not unfair.
That's true. I wish my sandwiches had this structural integrity. Like, I don't think it's hard enough getting them together.
But that sits in the sweet spot of cartoon food, though, doesn't it? And
yeah,
I mean, this may be a controversial opinion, but I don't think anything in the world has ever looked as delicious as a cartoon chicken drumstick.
No, I thought you were going to go with the Scooby-Doo sandwich.
Okay, fair enough. There is just like, oh man, cartoon food just looks the absolute best. They still don't have a Ripper model. That's true. Blood Bowl doesn't need physics to work. Actually, that's very true. Baron says Grashnak is missing. I think we've got all the original stars, all the Amazon stars, all the North stars, because the way they're doing these spike releases now are fantastic. I really love that. Bundling everything together makes it an expensive month, but it means that it's like I don't know. I like the way they're doing the releases for the teams. So Grashnak is outstanding, and then it will just be the other guys missing from the almanac. And we've seen with the Grasp Tentacruel, he's been spoiled, which means we've got the other Nurgle blocker. And Ripper himself.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then the ones from Blood Bowl 3.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, if they've got stars in Blood Bowl 3, as there's 2, I think we saw. Is that right, Trips? Because I think they're both in the Dark Elf roster.
Yeah, the Dark Elf ones. The problem is we need a team to be released for some rules for them first.
Well, we've kind of. I tell you what, one thing we were talking about for a long time was. Sorry, Baron in chat said, "I love Puggy in all honesty, but Cindy looks a little bit psychedelic." That's actually very true. We were talking about the goblins, weren't we? Because we've got the goblin stars like Ripper and Bomber, because we saw the art for Fungus the Loon a while ago, and we kind of all were like, oh, that means that, you know, maybe they'll do there's no more orc goblin teams to do, so we thought maybe they'd do like a retroactive spike with goblins to bring them out. But actually, because they're not opposed to just releasing a star, and they're not opposed to including them in an almanac, that I wouldn't be massively surprised if that's what we saw. I'd like to see those guys land in an almanac, just like as kind of like, here's some other stars and here's some great models, maybe.
Yeah, but almanac is like Christmas time or January time, so
yeah.
Ooh.
Elves do need some more stars. But I don't know, Trips, maybe.
I think hopefully we'll see another team before then.
It's been
far too long now.
I was gonna say, like, maybe the vampire rumors are not true, and we'll have high elves next instead, and actually Asperon, Thorn, and Tentacle Face, the dark elf, will both appear in those. I don't know. Right, I tell you what that does do is eloquently lead on to the really exciting news this month of Warhammer Fest. So Warhammer Fest is coming up next weekend, and I've been saying for like a little while now, right? Oh, it's okay. This will be it. That'll be when we get our next bit of Blood Bowl news. Like, the next Blood Bowl release surely will be previewed at Warhammer Fest because, like, you know, everything's going to be there and everyone's, you know, it's like the biggest thing. And they dropped out the graphic. I even made Tiff look this up on her phone. I was like, oh, sweetheart, you do me a favor. You know, go to the Warhammer community, click on the Warhammer Fest bit. I was like, right, on that graphic there, where do you see the Blood Bowl logo? And she was like, is this a trick? And I was like, no, it's just misery. I was like, I keep wanting to see the logo for like Blood Bowl stuff, and it keeps not being there, which is crazy. Although,
yeah, it's too long.
I think you called this, Ben, didn't you? That actually they'd want to do everything they could to focus super hard on 40k 10th.
Yeah, it was. I think everything, even if they did announce something, it's going to be so overshadowed by 10th, which looks amazing. Sorry, I know I shouldn't talk 40k in this space, but yeah, I'm usually very critical of Games Workshop, but it's like they've actually got a game designer in to design 10th edition. Which is crazy.
Something's happened. Like it I think I don't know. I wonder if
that game testing.
Oh, yeah. It's all the money they got from Cyanide that Cyanide saved on their game testing. Yeah, good times. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I was expecting to see
good.
What 40k.
Sorry, yeah, no, it looks good. Yeah, so I just wanted to say, like, it's had me very excited and got me feeling very positive, which is actually really good.
Yeah, you were even positive at the beginning of this video, like when we were recording.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. You know, I'm so used to being so doomer about Games Workshop releases, but this one has me feeling good. Shame it's not alternate activation, but you know, nothing's perfect.
I don't think an army scale game like that. I don't think it could take it. Alternate activation's only really good for 6 elements or less, I reckon.
No, absolute lies. I'm building my Conquest army as we speak, and that game is perfection.
And how many elements? Many elements in your annual force in Conquest, though?
Well, about the same as 40k.
What? Really?
In terms of like squad units and regiments, you have a bunch. Probably got you probably got individual units in a 2,000 point game, like 12 to 15.
Interesting. All right. Well, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Anyway, doesn't. I also like the look of it. I also like the way the rules are going. It seems pretty. I don't know. It's just one of those moments where you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that sounds good. Like it's just weird.
Yeah.
Which I'm a huge fan of, and I look forward to seeing their work with Age of Sigmar. Oh, actually, and the Old World stuff has.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The Old World.
I was surprised by how many other games are at Warhammer Fest, considering that it was going to be a big 40k this, 40k that, and you can play it as well if you go there, can't you?
Yeah, they're previewing the rules.
That's quite cool. I do like the look of that. I think that's quite exciting. Karen says, I'm looking forward to the Old World as well. Chris Stevens says, please bring back my Wood Elves. Oh, man. Warhammer Fantasy Battle Wood Elves. That was there.
If you want good new Wood Elves, Lost Kingdom Miniatures do such good revivals for Warhammer Fantasy armies that got forgotten. And Wood Elves is one of them. And I'm using 2 of them in a little College of Life team I'll talk about in Hobby. Yeah, but they are really good. Same with, if you like, Tomb Kings, Bretonians, and Lizardmen. They're probably the highlight standout ones. And Chaos Wolf. Did I say them?
No.
Yeah. No, really good ones.
But talking of Lizardmen, Games Workshop have released their new Lizards for Age of Sigmar as well. They look very different stylistically to the kind of classic vibe, and therefore very different stylistically from the Blood Bowl team, which is quite interesting because the Sauruses just look massively different. They look like a different breed of Saurus, which
But
means
still Saurus.
Yeah, but it means that actually there's going to be some people able to do a fun little conversion there, and I think at some point we'll see somebody play Age of Sigmar, get a box of Age of Sigmar and stuff, and be like, and end up just converting it into Blood Bowl. I think we'll see that be quite cool. And if we ever get rules for like a Saurus blocker star player or anything, that's prime conversion. Even though Brute Fun does an awesome star player model for Saurus, and there's plenty of great 3D printable models out there, but actually, sometimes it's fun to do a kit bash in that regard. But yeah, Warhammer Fest is coming up. There's nothing listed for Blood Bowl, but Underworlds, Warcry, Middle-earth, Age of Sigmar, Old World, Horus Heresy, and Kill Team. The only things missing there are Necromunda, which is fine. Adeptus Titanicus, which just got a new book anyway, although they do fit under the Horus Heresy now, Titanicus does. So yeah, I think we're just a little bit delayed with the next Blood Bowl release, and if it doesn't happen at Warhammer Fest, do you guys reckon it will just be on a random Sunday or a random week there'll be a preview? Or it feels like, I don't know, it feels like when they release their big releases, when they do new teams and stuff, it's previewed with a cool video and some great stuff, and you have Eddie and the other guy talk about the book for 27 minutes.
Well, that's the thing. They could probably dedicate like a weekend announcement to it, and that's probably fine.
That's
amazing. It's not really like their MO, is it?
It's not.
Yeah. We've had less of the preview sort of video ones since the gaming conventions have come back. We've had less of the 2 hours of a black library book and, oh, by the way, there's a new miniature coming.
Yeah, that Nurgle book was that was not the best. Actually, the last couple of previews I think have been really good. I've checked into a couple of them and they've done a really good job. It's weird. I'm finding myself be just genuinely really pleased and really impressed with the direction that Games Workshop's going in. I just wish one of those directions was a Blood Bowl release. But one thing we can say is that we had a good chat with Jay, the lead for Blood Bowl at Warhammer World, and like there's obviously stuff coming, and it's obviously really cared about, which is enough for me. Like, I don't mind guessing when something's coming out as long as I know that there is going to be something coming out, and I think we're safe. And so that's good enough for me. I just have that kind of release anxiety all of the time.
The roller coaster of emotions is the lead up to potential, and yeah, it's good. It's a good time.
Couple of fun bits in chat. Brew Fun says, I just want my old orcs back. None of the swamp goblins from Age of Sigmar. That's reasonably fair, although obviously they've got like the Iron Jaws and the oh gosh, hang on, I've got this. Iron Jaws. Oh yeah, they are Iron Jaws. Iron Jaws are the yellow big orcs, and then they've got the oh god, what do the black orcs get renamed to? Armored lads or something.
Hard Boys?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. They're all under the Iron Jaws umbrella, I think, aren't they?
They were classic fodder for Blood Bowl conversions. The Black Orcs. It was absolutely brilliant. Karen says, I bought some Lumineth Realm Lords when they first hit because I enjoyed the aesthetic. Yeah, it's kind of like a more kind of 15th, 16th century Chinese influenced high elves, which I did like the design. It was like, have you guys ever seen Red Cliff?
Oh yeah, what a film,
dude! Right,
Dynasty Warriors, the movie.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. Yeah, that kind of aesthetic mixed with high elves, I think was Lumineth, was great until they were like, do you know what high elves need? Kangaroos, and just unfortunately, I don't understand. That was a strange design choice. Baron says rumors are that the next team is October. I don't know if that's. I mean,
it's such a long way away.
October is Halloween, so that would probably be
post World Cup as well. Like, I feel like there'd be something like to drum up hype around the World Cup. I don't know.
Oh, but the World Cup is nothing to do with Blood Bowl, right?
GW. Yeah.
Yeah, but they know it's going on. They can't ignore that. I feel like if people are talking about it and going to things, it's like a good discussion point. People
they
be just like,
can.
"Oh, what about that?"
They can drop a new team release that weekend just to distract everyone.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. So that's why I think it's going to be around that, if anything.
That would be very interesting, actually. Man, we always do say that the news happens when I'm abroad, so that's one to watch. With I don't know. I think when it comes to official like Games Workshop tournaments and stuff like that, they're getting the 40k and Age of Sigmar boys. I think like sides getting much more involved with like the UTC and stuff. Is that right, Ben? That's what it seems like.
What with what? Sorry, what did you
like? Games Workshop are networking with non-Games Workshop tournaments to involve them in stuff. So for 40k and stuff, it feels like they've gone from ignoring it to being involved with it or supporting it.
Oh yeah, like the Nova is huge and stuff, and that's not them. Like I mean, Adepticon they always go to, and there's a huge reveal there, and that's not them.
Oh no, but I mean from a tournament point of view as well. Like
yeah, but these things have tournaments. Like Nova's like a huge tournament, isn't it?
Well, they've got that structure where everyone comes through to the big GW final tournament, isn't it? So
yeah, that's I mean I'm not gonna lie, I really do think that would be awesome for Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl has a different vibe of tournaments. It's a lot more little tournaments, and I assume that's because like running a 40k tournament, the logistics is that they're like legit, right? You kind of have to be you have to be like an entity to be able to pull together enough terrain and stuff for a 40k tournament. Like a shop or a full-on hobby club or something, that maybe there's just more kind of internal structure, which is interesting given the the NAF does exist. And oh my god, this is a really positive episode, but the NAF have changed up how they do tournament submission, not tournament submissions, that's still XML wonderful glory, but like the way you submit a tournament, they've got this cool little automated response thing that was like, hey, thanks, we'll get back to you. And then there's an automated response saying, hey, yeah, this has been approved. Miles better than before, right?
You are positive, Ben. You're saying an automated email response is a technological innovation.
Well, but now
it is that you've come from the low bar of going, I haven't heard anything.
Well, look, last year we had was it Bonehead Bowl that they just didn't do anything with, so it wasn't sanctioned. Yeah. And then because they hadn't agreed to sanction it, so we didn't report the results, they then said that they dragged their heels with was it
Beachhead?
Was it Beachhead? It was one of the Beachhead, wasn't it?
Yeah, we can't verify Beachhead because you didn't fill in the results for Bonehead Bowl, which we didn't tell you that was verified.
Yeah, which we emailed about.
We really should have capitalized on this beef for the clicks. I think that's quite spicy. It's very exciting.
No, that's not how we roll. That we're not Hellstorm Wargaming or whoever the terribly bearded man is.
More beef. Let's hit up them. There's something there.
Am I recording this? I am recording this. Snippety snap. So it's an interesting one. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in the Games Workshop space, and actually I think that it is good, because I think that it is good growth, and good growth means good access, which will form, I believe, a part of our primary discussion for the day when it comes to unofficial teams and unofficial rules. But anyway, that's a little bit of a preview on that one. Anyway, Warhammer Fest is coming up. There's no Blood Bowl stuff that we know of. We might get a little something, we don't know. And there'll be plenty of other cool stuff going on, and plenty of other cool stuff going on out there in the world. It is tournaments. We are running one in, like Trip said, a month's time. Got Dorset Dungeon Bowl. It is essentially sold out. I'm a bit nervous to phone Carl tomorrow, but that'll be interesting to see, because we might end up, but we've got 47, I think, tickets, 47, 48 have sold, which is fantastic for a Dungeon Bowl event. So that is basically sold out. And then we've got some tournaments coming up. So if you go to our boneheadpodcast.com, you can click on the tournaments bit, and you've got a little button there that you can take you to share your tournament or see other tournaments coming up. And actually, I need to hide previously run tournaments, but where are we? We're in April now. So you got Bruce Bowl this weekend, Dominion Bowl in Scotland this weekend, April Fool's Bowl in Doncaster this weekend, the Spiky Egg Cup in Hampshire at Aldershot on the 29th. Dorset Dungeon Bowl with us, and then you've got SOBB Sevens Spring in South Oxfordshire on the 20th of May, which is Dungeon Bowl Day. And then Luncaster Bowl in Lancashire, all coming up soon. And there are some other bits and bobs going on around the world as well. So if you're not,
there's also the NAF Championship next weekend. It's quite a big one.
Yes, you are right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had a Greenskin Phil ask me if I was going during club last night, and I said, sadly, had a wedding, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the NAFC. That's the big single player one, isn't it? Where they got nearly 300 coaches, because they also do the UKTC as well. Which my goal,
yes, that was recently.
Yeah, my goal would be to get to one of those at some point, because I don't know, seems like a really, really solid time. But plenty of tournaments going on around the world, including 3 coming up at Warhammer World again in July. Is it July 21st? Is that when it starts? It is.
Yeah, it was.
July 21st is the Friday, which is a Sevens event. And then on the Saturday, the 22nd, you've got a 11s event. And then on Sunday, the 23rd, is the Dungeon Bowl event. Ben and I have got tickets to all of them. I'm hoping I can attend all of them. Ben is adamant he's going to attend all of them. Trips has gone and got himself a holiday or some nonsense.
Yep. Bad planning.
So there's that coming up. So I will be at some of those as well, because the last one was such good fun. It was really, 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 really solid fun. So that was pretty cool to go to. I just want to check in chat before we bounce to hobby. Matt, I was ready to finally get on Sigmar when Cities of Sigmar would be redone, but having found all of my old dwarves, I might wait for Old World. That's interesting. Baron says maybe they'll release one sooner just so people couldn't use them in the World Cup. Well, Baron, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can't use in the World Cup already. Like Ripper. Who you want to use? Ripper. Oh, on the plus side, Cindy won't be there, which is something.
And they did say they wouldn't change the rule set.
Yeah.
Because it's locked in. So
yeah, which I don't know if I don't think that's all that necessary anymore. Locking in the rule set, maybe like a month out or something, but I don't know. I mean, having a big old tournament, yeah, I guess from a TO point of view,
you're only going to get things added in. You're not going to get anything taken away.
I guess this creates the issue of like people going and submitting up a high elf team and then them dropping a new high elf team, and then you having the potential of both high elf teams being run. Although that's just what we do. We have one of our events, we had the old Norse and the new Norse and the old Amazon and the new Amazon, and actually it was fine. But then again, the World Cup is 2,000 players, so that's a significant difference. But I don't know. I think with the digital submissions and stuff, I don't know. I think we're at a real turning point when it comes to Blood Bowl tournaments on a bigger scale. I think Games Workshop's going to get more involved in one way or another. And obviously, we're one step closer to my dream of a pro tour for Blood Bowl. Just because I would love to be the Marshall at Sutcliffe of Blood Bowl and do the commentary at Blood Bowl at a really high level. That would just be a dream. And one step closer to that with the Blood Bowl 3 update, maybe at the end of the year with spectator mode, right?
Yeah, maybe. If it works and gets released on time.
As long as I've got enough green gems to pay for it. Too soon?
Man.
Too soon?
Too real.
Yeah, too real. Too real there. Baron says, Guide the Sevens is on a school day, but I managed to get a ticket for Saturday. Cool. That's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like, I don't know. I'm a big fan of like weekday Blood Bowl. I think that was good. It's easier for me to get out of work than it is weekend.
Definitely more expensive to go to when you've got to give up like a holiday day. But yeah, it's quite fun and quite chill, and it's a nice little break in the week. Actually, I quite liked having that little gap where it's just like, right, forget about work for a bit, go play Blood Bowl, go back to work.
And I tell you what, I think the hotel was much cheaper because Ian just went up, Ian Warhammer, to play Silly Sigmar at the weekend. and he had a horrible time of it at the hotel. I think, didn't he? Because it was a weekend and it was all like lads, and there's me like.
True.
I mean, I was plenty drunk enough. I would have slept through that lads.
I was going to say
thing.
you were the lads from what I've
Yeah, we were.
us there with our £5 bottles of wine talking about politics until the early hours of 11:30. Lads. It was very much more chaps, I think.
Yeah.
Like the little Instagram
That is
videos
true.
of like the two posh blokes just talking to each other in ridiculous situations. That was kind of, it wasn't us. That wasn't it. It was more just me and Milton just kind of putting ideas into Ben and Rick's head and watching them fight over things.
I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, no, it was so good. Baron says, joys of being a teacher, but I do agree with you. Dude, yeah. If it's a proper school day and you can't get out of it, then it is a bit of a nuisance. But, I mean, as much as I love sevens, and I know that, Ben, you loved the format, and it was a lot of fun, of those three tournaments, and this is weird for me to say, the sevens one would be the one I'd be okay skipping.
Yeah,
and I think just not being able to pick your skills makes it a Brexit margin tick less desirable than the 11s for me.
that is true. It was weird.
I
quite liked as a one-off, as part of a 3-day. I think I'd want a little bit more, like, commitment. Not sure.
Can you imagine if you have a really bad set of random skills on day one, and then that's it starts the weekend that way, and you could end up going, I really didn't enjoy getting armbar loads.
Stop taking random strength skills. But I mean, even in the good general skills, there's still stuff you can't get. But anyway, I think that's everything for Blood Bowl news. Let's move on to hobby. All good to go?
Yeah.
Okay, so hobby time, guys. What you been building? What you been buying? What you been battling? Yeah, I love alliteration.
It's going to take me forever, so I'll go last. Start with trips.
Trips. What's occurring?
Yeah. So mine's not too bad this time. I am nearly finished printing the gaming table. I have all the tiles are done.
Dude.
All the frame clips are done. I think I'm halfway through the frames. They print about 2 or 3 a day. It's going to be awesome when it all goes together. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And then I was finishing off my guardsman kill team. Finally got them finished, based, and Milton will be pleased with me. I magnetic them and put them in their storage box. So they're now no longer gathering dust on the table. They're in a display box, and started some Necromunda Enforcers, because Ben was mentioning so much that he hasn't taken them out of the wrapper. I thought I was still primed fine. So
they are still sealed.
I did have a good priming day over the weekend, and got, I think, sort of 3 different gangs primed, and a couple of random miniatures which were staring at me going, please put some paint on me.
Base it, prime it, move on to the next project. I like it. Or you could do the quick pass method and paint them up in no time.
Yeah.
Good video on the channel, available now.
Yeah.
I had so much fun doing that. I it's far too much fun doing that. It was a lot of work, but I had a good time.
Really good vid. Really good vid.
Really enjoyed
it. Really nice editing. I did yourself on that.
I just had a good time doing that one. It was
Although a few of those hobby crimes were like, ooh, that's making me slightly.
It's slightly like you shouldn't be doing that, or slightly like, oh, I do that.
No, slightly like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. That's going to trigger me.
I should have put a trigger warning. Instead, I went with the South Park opening sequence with a little text box that said this should not be used by anyone.
Yeah, just like that. Yeah,
that's the way I think all painting videos should start. Do not follow this.
I'm making this video for clickbait. Don't do it.
It was a bad one. But no, I played a game of Blood Bowl I'd forgotten about until just now. So since the last episode, I had to play my last game of the regular season at Entoyment. This was before my mouth surgery, or the day of my mouth surgery, actually. No, it was the day off. Yeah. Oh, that was fun. Tiff was cross with me for that one. She was like, "Why are you not staying home in bed?" I was like, "I've got Blood Bowl to play." She's like, "You're an idiot." I was like, "But I've got Blood Bowl to play."
It may dampen the pain.
Yeah. So Drew, multiple Bonehead tournament winner, who 6-7-0'd our last event, won the 7s. Yep. Won the 11s. He's running Norse in the Entoyment League, and my last game of the regular season was against him. And I'm not going to lie, I was looking forward to the game because I do love chatting with Drew, but I was not looking forward to playing against Norse, and I was not looking forward to playing against a tournament winner because I've got a terrible record against Bonehead Bowl winners. I think we all have, right? Good enough to give them a run for their money. Generally speaking, not good enough to get the game. To get it done, but I don't know. I was just right. I'm running Skaven. It's Norse. I don't like that matchup because attrition tends to get me, and I don't know. I just played, and it was a good game. Drew had some bad luck, and I pounced with the gutter runners at every opportunity. I just full on gutter runned it every drive. I just flooded the backfield. Pressured, waited for something to go wrong, and took my chances. And opened up. I kicked to him. I won the roll, so I kicked to him, and I did that. Bounced the gutters into the backfield. His Valk, I think, double wand a go for it, or failed to pick up the ball or something. Then I was able to bring a lineman around the edge to blitz the ball, to roulette the ball. Blitz someone onto the ball to roulette it, and then gutter run away. So took a cheeky defensive touchdown at the beginning of the game. He then drove down, turn 8, equalised. I had one turn left, so I thought, well, I'll give it another go, and pulled off another Skaven one-turn touchdown, which was just like ridiculous. So went 2-1 up, receiving, got the ball, went up, scored with 3-1. And then I can't remember if Drew then scored and then I counter scored, or if I'd managed to pull off another shenanigansy defensive touchdown. But it was a heck of a match. The attrition was fine in the first half, and that's what kind of carried me through. So what did he go for inducements wise? He had Cindy, he had Rumbelow, and he had a Keg. And my rat ogre just ate Cindy on she got a properly good bomb against me, hit 4 guys, and none of them went down. Literally, I kind of felt bad for Drew, but also very happy for my gutter runners, because it was just like 2, 1, 2, 3. All 4 of the guys completely avoided the opening salvo of bombs, and then the rogue kind of just wandered around Baster, and then the next turn just 6-died her into oblivion, which was good. And then I just managed to keep piling on the pressure and got what I would consider a pretty surprising victory. But really happy with the guys. They did a great job. My little gutter runners. I lost a gutter because I fired him because of a random skill that didn't go right. And you don't need gutters. You don't need gutters. Like, they're replaceable. It's very, very Skaven of me. I think I'm on like player 17 now. I think
you can see on tour play.
Yeah.
Scroll down, you can see all the ones that have failed you.
Let's see. Never Bay Nightmares. Let's go to them. Oh, I'm on player 22 actually.
Wow.
Because I keep just like, no, don't need him, fire him. No, don't need him, fire him.
There's a coach who looks after his players.
Skaven.
Yeah.
Absolutely Skaven. Got a couple of line rats with randoms. Rat McAfee was out for the match, so another guy took his place and then rolled another kick. So I got 2 kick Skaven. Sadly, my second blitzer is out, but I've got a Dauntless Wrestle random block gutter now, which is nice. Jump up block 2 heads gutter now, which is very nice. An accurate on the ball thrower is back for this game, which I'm pleased with. Guard on the Roger, 2 kick boys. a thrower with leader, another gutter with block and a vanilla gutter, and a line rat with random sure hands. So it's a chunky team. Like 14 players is probably one player too many for Skaven, but I'm actually fine with that because of the way I play. I tend to lose line rats regularly. So a bit 1600 with 4 rerolls, 5 with leader, just to really just pile on the pressure and take all the dice rolls. I've taken to just really redlining all of my players most of the time. It's like an episode of Fast and the Furious just meets Ratatouille in my games at the moment, where I'm just like, and I rush. Everybody's movement 9 in my team, which is why I've got 5 rerolls, which is too many rerolls. But I only took the leader boy because I needed him for the 7 semi-tournament because my main thrower was out, and then he just did a great job and got a TD, and I just was like, well, I don't know where else to put him. I've already got an accurate, on the ball guy, so I just chucked leader on him because I was like, well, why not? Anyway, the Never Bay Nightmares are having a wonderful time. It was a good win. I'm really happy with that. So we're just wrapping up the season now. So I'm a top spot in the South Division with 34 points, 6 wins and a draw. My draw was a 3-all draw against John's Wood Elves, which was an absolute shootout, which was wicked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm quite happy to say that I'm sitting on the top of the board for most scoring, 28 touchdowns, which is, I don't know, I guess scoring lots of touchdowns with Skaven is kind of my thing now. I think that's where I'm going for. I've got an average of 3.1 touchdowns a match or something. I'm like, that is I'm happy with that. However, I have suffered the most casualties of any team in the league, which again is very much how I roll.
Also, very Skaven too.
Very, very, very much. But no, had a really good game. A bit of a surprising win. And we're going into the finals now. We've got a couple of games left to play before we figure out who's playing who. But I'm looking forward to that, actually. How about you guys? Got any Blood Bowl played?
I had a game last night. I had my final game of the league, which unfortunately was the final game of the league. Or I am now out of playoffs. Started strong with Chaos Dwarfs, but rapidly petered out.
Oh man!
Yeah, I'm being booted out now. It's a 1-0 loss to Vampires.
Vampires, that's cool, man. How did the Vampires play?
It was awesome. It was against Tom, lovely guy Tom.
That is his full name. Yep.
Yep. And yeah, this was a weird game. It was so swingy in terms of luck in both ways. So in his first 3 turns, he took out all of my hobgoblins, but then also managed to roll 2 double ones, and a double skull, in those same 3 turns. So it was like every block he did removed a player, but then everything he tried to do with the ball was a turnover. And so, yeah, it started out really odd, but I managed to defend. I did quite an aggressive defense because I did want to kind of bait him to come close. So I didn't, because he had 4 vampires, and he was saying at the start of the game that his thrall to vampire ratio was a little bit worrisome. So I was just like, I'm just going to go aggressive. I'm going to stack the line, just be like, just hit my guys, and then I'm just going to ruin your thralls, and you're going to be screwed. And yeah, he hit my guys and killed my guys. And yeah, but managed to grind out the 0-0 at halftime on the defense. Then I kicked. I received on the second half, got the ball. It was all well and good. And then again, because I've barely had hobgoblins, I just ended up getting really ground out. I did take out a vampire with a turn 1 blitz with 2 rushes with the Minotaur, which was great. So he actually was down to 2 vampires, but even with them, he still had loads of thralls left and was just able to bog me down and outrun me every time I tried to break away, even with the ball centaur. He just played it really well. Eventually managed to steal the ball, pull out some ridiculous turns of hypno-gazing into 7 tackle zones and then doing some 4 up, 5 up dodges with vampires. And yeah, it was just gnarly. But yeah, it was a well-deserved win, a really well-deserved win. And my Minotaur was actually really good on that game and caused them a lot of problems. And yeah, Minotaurs and Chaos Dwarves are really good.
That's not bad considering they're basically just a lizard man team, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I'm kind of glad I'm not in playoffs with them. I feel a little bit done with Chaos Orbs now, if I'm being honest. Really not my playstyle. But yeah.
That's cool. It's cool to see a couple of legacy teams play against each other, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the league's kind of gone into the Teams of Legend vibe. There's like a couple of Tomb King teams, a Vampire team, obviously you with your Happy Dwarves.
Yeah.
And even in the Entoyment League, Trips is running the High Elves. It's kind of, it's the hipster thing to do. I like it.
It's getting all the games in now before they get replaced, I think, is where it's at.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm looking forward to hopefully coming back to Wobble soon. I know I've been saying this for a little while, but Tuesday afternoon is like a big meeting afternoon at the moment for my job. And meetings overrun, and then the will is gone to leave the house and not just sit and cry. But yes, but it'd be nice to get back to Wobble. I intend on taking the ugly Amazons.
Nice.
And inducing Drawl and Dribble as much as possible, just to see if I can.
Good plan.
Yeah, just to turbo it. See if I can run turbo Amazons, 2 of their catches, Drawl and Dribble. That's movement 7, movement 8, movement 8. I love it. I refuse to refer to those guys as catchers, as blitzers.
Or blitzers.
Yeah, because they are catchers without catch.
They've now got colour. I can put.
Okay. My other bit of hobby was doing the quick pass painting method video, which I had a really good time filming. It was just, it's been something I'd wanted to do for a while, do something a little bit different. And it's not, as good as the happy, chappy, slappy chip shop videos that are out there, but actually my paint everything brown video is out, and I really enjoyed doing it, and it got my Punga team painted in a short couple of hours. While I mucked about with the spinny plate and my big coloured lighting box that's sitting there as well, which is pretty cool. And that was kind of my little bit of hobby, as well as printing dungeons and prepping Dungeon Bowl teams for next weekend, which I am so excited about. That was kind of my hobby, which is, that's fine. That's been plenty. I intend to catch up with Mando towards the end of the week and finish painting the Dungeon Bowl teams. There was a lot of hobby crimes in this video, of which
You have been working on a little display thing, haven't you? I don't know if that's a secret project.
It's not quite ready yet. It's not quite ready yet.
But it's exciting.
Tell you the truth, I batch printed a bunch that I hollowed them out and put a drainage hole, and it didn't really work very well. So that big print I put on the S2. They're still draining, so I'm just going to bin it. I think it's one of those annoying things where I have to customize bigger drainage holes in the back of the pieces. But that will be done soon, and not just because Tiff and I are finally looking at houses this week, so I need to get a move on with my Blood Bowl storage, because it would be good to have things organized by the time we move. Otherwise, I feel like things might go missing in the move, accidentally or on purpose. So I think that's just doing my due diligence there.
Oh, you should see the two large plastic boxes I have of loose and now very broken miniatures that I just chucked in during my move. And it was, some stuff in there is, I don't want to think about how much money I've just broken in a plastic box.
Well, I don't really mind the unpainted bits. It's the stuff that I've actually painted that I want to keep all right, because what happens is I'll paint it, I'll put it in a box, and then I'll go to use it, and I'll be like, oh no, I can't find it. I'll have to paint another one, and then I'm like, that's just stupid, isn't it? Couple of fun bits in chat. Karen says, I thoroughly enjoyed the painting video. Brute Fun says, I licked the brush too. Baron says, great result, Ben. Drew with Norse would scare me. It scared me. I won my last league game with Wood Elves 4-1, but it was against Halflings, so it's hard to feel proud about it. Yeah, but it's also hard to feel bad about that, because you say Halflings, but you were playing against Griff or Carla, so it's fine. In this edition, there's no stunty shaming anymore. It's not like, oh, it's goblins, it's an auto win. No. That's Hagflem or Scrapper and Bomber. That is a challenge for any team. Doesn't matter what's going on. Ogres. You got the Griff Ogrewold build that can easily be run in League. You've got, Halflings, which are just star players. There's plenty of stuff going on there. Bruty says the only player that matters is the kick lineman. The fact I've got 2 is amazing, because that means that when one of them dies, I will have a spare. And Rat McAfee is back. I really liked the quick pass video, says Lars. Not every team needs to be painted to Golden Demon standards. Sometimes it's just nice to put paint on models and get a team done. The Tree Man is great, says Andrew. The Tree Man is amazing. Yeah, I just we have so many good releases each month. Like Brute Fun is the #1 criminal when it comes to that. And it's just kind of like I feel like, 4 or 5 team releases happen, and I'm like, I want to paint some of these. And like Ben says, I'm working on some display cases so that I can actually just paint stuff and have them on a wall somewhere, or just like have things out that I can keep them. It's all Trip's fault really, because he's been, like you said, magnetizing. But you started it all off, Trips, with the little team stands.
Yeah.
The
The painting, the racks, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it just keeps everything tidy, and I can actually see it, because it's not like 3 lines of miniatures behind each other. They're literally on like cheering fans.
Yeah, which looks amazing. And I'm like, well, I want that. And also, yes, magnets are an absolute must. I've got some chunky boy magnets. In fact, you probably heard that, because they're just so big. They just wreck things. Absolutely love magnets. It's great fun. Baron says the halflings had higher TV than him. That's crazy. Well, in which case, justice. All right, guys. Any more games or hobby?
I've got a bit of hobby.
Yes. Clear us in.
I've done a bit of everything in the last couple of weeks. It's been quite good. So the main thing I've got is I've tidied up my space. I think the camera's going to have to do this, but I've got some of these like hobby zone shelves, which no Trips has. Which are just the best, and my camera's ruined.
Did you use his affiliate link when you got them?
Yeah, no, sadly, went the full route. No, but it's just made my space so much nicer to work in. It's more organized, and that does just like wonders for like mental health, I suppose. It just makes it feel better. I got like a new mouse pad as well for my desk, so like working here is also nice. I don't feel like I'm cluttered by everything, and yeah, big change.
No, man.
Sorry, did I cut out there?
No, not at all. You're
Cool.
having space organized and just nice. It like they always say, isn't it? Was it tidy space, tidy mind, or something?
Yeah,
Cliche
exactly.
That actually is
It's
remarkably true.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that, although my desk I am frequently tidying at the moment, which is cool. In fact, there's only 10 models on it, which is amazing.
That's a good amount. Yeah, good amount.
8 of them are on the little spinny plate. So actually, I'm going to take a complete victory on this one. Although I do keep getting like enraged as I'm filming a video, because I'm like, I'll just grab this model to use as a size comparison, and I'm like, no, it's gone. I've tidied it, because I'm just so used to my like organized pile of chaos. Is this going to work? Yeah, see, I've got this. I've got do you know that big lighting unit that you blinded yourself with on video Trips?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I brought it up into the studio so I could use as like a backlighting on the sewer wall thing for the spinny plate video.
Nice.
And I just love it. Like, oh, I go invisible with the green screen. That's cool. Look at that. Yeah. Anyway, playing with lights is just unnecessary and exciting. Ooh, the red is cool. The red is thematic. Purple. I can't find the off button. There we go. Yeah, that's as much tidying as I've done. No, BT, the drawer with like flock in is the best one, because you just sent a little.
The drawer. Oh yeah. So I've just got some of these drawers where I just put like loose flock in, and yeah, like a couple of them have like foam flock in, and if like the lighting's right and the camera quality is good enough, in like some work calls, it looks quite sketchy that I've got these like 3 or 4 of these drawers with just like various shades of
foliage,
green,
should we say?
Green foliage, yeah.
But
Yeah,
Ben sent a little snap into our little WhatsApp group earlier, and it just looked like a tiny piece of New Zealand in your drawer. It just I could see like an assortment of folks just walking over it, and someone telling the story about how Sean Bean doesn't like helicopters. It had that proper Lord of the Rings vibe. It's so cool.
This is where Aragorn broke his toe. Yeah. Yeah, no, it is really good. It's made me productive. I've printed bits and made up the Placement College of Life team. This one hasn't been sold on eBay.
Blooming Warhammer.
So
Selling his own
that's coming up.
teams like a bandit.
Yeah, getting that ready for Dungeon Bowl stuff. Which also another bit of different hobby was dabbled into 3D sculpting again with the help of Brute Fun.
Which is so
I was there.
cool.
Yeah, I was there just like I had I used to do this at uni. There's no excuse for forgetting how, but it's like genuinely it's like forgetting how to ride a bike. And I'm there in software I haven't used, trying to rip off geometry and trying to reattach geometry like an idiot. And I'm there just like, oh, this isn't working. I give up. And I was vented to Brute Fun. I'm just like, don't know how you do it, guy. I don't know how you do it, man. Like, this is awful. And he just, like I said, Brute Fun was typing, or he was typing. And it was there for like 10 minutes. And then like this wall of instructions came back being like, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I followed it to the letter and it fixed everything. So huge thank you, because you've enabled me now to print out some war dancers, which is very cool. These are from Lost Kingdom, as I mentioned earlier. They're like ballet posed because they're like very elegant.
War dancery.
Yeah, exactly. Super elegant. They're doing ballet poses. They look amazing. And I just wanted to get rid of the glaives and dropped it. Not broken. Good. I wanted to get rid of the glaives. And so I just wanted to do a simple hand swap. And it worked out great. Cut off the hand, mirrored the hand, attached it to the other arm. It's great. And printed out fine. So
what
the biggest
software
thing
did you use?
this was using Blender.
Yeah, Blender.
Yeah. So at university, we used like Autodesk Maya, and that's what I'm like really used to, and like ZBrush. But those are like really expensive bougie industry softwares. Whereas Blender's like really, really good industry standard and free.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
So
I fudged one of the sculpts for the ogre heads in Blender. That's about as far as I ever got, because I was like, the lack of control of this really upsets me. I don't know how to do this. So then when like Brute Fun is like, day 2, I've built this team. I'm like, how? Like how? I don't get it.
That is something that did come back straight away, actually, in terms of 3D modeling, is the UI controls, like you say. Like, they are not intuitive. Like, controlling modeling software is not intuitive. It's like, you want to zoom in, shift, middle mouse click, and then release shift, and you're fine. ZBrush is the worst for that. I think, I think doing basic stuff requires 3 button presses. Yeah.
Yeah, I struggle bouncing between Chitubox, which is Ian Triplo's favourite software, and 3D Builder, because like the buttons are ever so slightly different, and I find myself just like twisting and zooming really weirdly. But that's as much as I get done. I know you're a lychee guy, Trips.
Oh, it's great, lychee.
I'm just so scared to transition over because I've got the settings dialed in like just right that I'm just scared to do anything different because I'm on a really good run. Touchwood.
So there's a lot of meta in that, yeah.
I'm all right.
There is something about printing when it's working, you're just like, I'm not touching anything.
It's just,
and it'll stop working one day, and I won't know why. But until then, I'm going to enjoy it.
It's just incense and chanting until that point, and that's fine. Like that's although incense in the lab with all the white spirit is probably a bad idea, or the IPA.
More flavors.
More flames? Did you say?
Well, yeah, that.
That's just the order of chemicals you had on your desk, Ben, before you realised maybe that wasn't the right order.
Oh yeah, I did send a picture of my new desk with Ian's right. I've decanted all my chemicals into like little squirty lab safety bottles. And the one nearest my lit candle was the white spirit. And when I sent this like picture to my family, my sister, who is a like site inspector for health and safety standards, who can like issue fines if they're like drafting up a fixed penalty notice to ship to my address for breaching basic lab safety. Yeah, not great. But I've now shifted that with the water, so we're all good.
I love that bit. Anyway, guys, any other hobby bits, or we shall jump in to the unofficial team discussion?
I think it's discussion time.
Let's roll. Everyone good?
Yeah.
All good.
All right, that was convincing, I think, as we get, which I like.
Mellow.
Yeah, mellow's good. Mellow's what we need. Mellow was what we decided this year was going to be about. And it's it's nearly over because it's April, which is ridiculous. Right, so we're going to talk about unofficial teams. What backdrop do we want for unofficial teams, other than obviously brute fun? It's toys, Punga for their slan.
Has my connection been okay for this call as well, by the way? Because I think the internet is absolutely me.
It seems I've had
to be fine.
Yeah, I've had no problems with your connection.
Okay.
The guys in chat, do let us know if you had any issues, but I think it's been all right. Hopefully it's been
Basically,
all right.
we looked after a dog last week, and I came back one evening, and it wasn't even an evening. I
I am
was out
so
for like an hour.
intrigued as to where this is going.
Yeah.
So looking after this dog, and I said, Alison, keep an eye on the dog. I need to pop out. So go to the shop or whatever it was. Came back, and the dog's there chewing on something plastic, and I'm just like,
No.
that's weird. What's that? Like, what is that? And I go down, and it's this little like rod of plastic, and I'm just like, I know immediately what that is. I saw like a bit of metal poking out of it.
Oh.
I know what that is. It's one of my Wi-Fi card aerials. The dog had gone under the desk, and it's the middle one, impressively, bitten this, ripped it out, and just having a munch on it. And I was just there looking at Alison like,
How?
you couldn't have stopped this at any time. Fortunately, the dog's okay. Didn't choke on it.
Oh yeah, that is the
My
yes.
Wi-Fi, my Wi-Fi seems hit and miss. It seems like the speed is fine, but it's where it was previously like, a steady stream of data. Now it seems to be just like 250, 5, 300, 10, 250. Like it's like it really jumps between super fast and I think it's related. Yeah.
Welcome to the New Forest.
Yeah.
Unofficial legacy. Unofficial legacy.
What are you looking for, Bill?
I was just mincing through the tour play stuff to see what the shizzles and the dizzles were.
Yeah, so it's the Blood Bowl is the second one along. Blood Bowl, unofficial, Blood Bowl 20, Blood Bowl 7s. That's where the Squig and the Troll are.
Yeah. Oh, they got demons as well. That's cool. All right. How do we want to play this, guys? Do we want to just do a round table? Do we want to take opposing sides and rage? What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. The opposing sides was really fun.
It was really fun.
But I don't think... I'm just trying to think. If I had to just say unofficial teams isn't good, really don't know. Like Games Workshop, I can probably fudge, but this one is...
I am obviously massively pro unofficial and homebrew rules, but I'm very happy to argue about some of the concerns. So I'm happy to take the role of the Sith Lord here.
Yeah, because I don't really think it should be a debate.
No,
it's not really going to be.
Yeah,
so
more
yeah,
pros and cons, and then
just
let's
an
go in.
honest conversation about the impacts.
Okay, we can make it spicy because that's good content. If we feel like we must,
don't worry.
I can start shouting at you, Ben. Saying,
we'll find a way. We'll find a way to trigger you.
Yeah, I mean you definitely will. So.
Stoney says, Ben, is that the adult equivalent of the dog ate my homework? The dog ate my router.
My Wi-Fi card, yeah.
Is there an opposing side, says Baron? Yes, I will do my best to try and represent some of the opposing sides. Oh, bless you. Thanks, guys, in chat. Right. News? No, we'll hold off on news for a second. All right, let's go. Okay, so Blood Bowl. If you say, well, I'll tell you what, every month when the NAF updates the NAF games and stuff on their Tableau, I do the monthly meta. And two parts of the monthly meta show is what's legal and what's lethal. What's lethal is looking at tournament results and being like, hey, this team's doing great and goblins suck again. Come on. And then the first bit is what's legal. So kind of covering all of the stuff that's available in Blood Bowl. So if you just get back into Blood Bowl, you just join in it, you just, whatever. Kind of, the whole idea is to give you a quick video. I don't do quick videos. because I like talking, and kind of cover all the stuff that's available. And one of the things that always comes up is the Slan team, and the Slan team is actually quite a big point of contention, I think, in the Blood Bowl sphere, because whenever I do a video for Slan, it's really interesting. Like, no matter what it is, whether it's a print to pitch video or like one of the dream teams or something, there's always some of the comments just like, Slan aren't a real team. Like, what are you doing? Like, Slan, just let them die. And I'm like, well, I will not let them die, but but yeah. And then when we were in Games Workshop HQ, we kind of like, hey, what about Slan? What about Slan? And it was made very clear that Slan are gone, right? They've been gone from all the Warhammer worlds. They're just gone, which makes me very sad. And then we're kind of talking about what would be a good thing to talk about on some of the upcoming episodes. And we're like, oh, that could be quite fun. And then Brute Fun, Bloomin' Brute Fun, goes, do you know what would be sweet? A flipping Squig team. And I've been raving about Squig team for ages, and he's just gone and sculpted just the best imaginable Squig team, and it's just so good. But this ties in to what we always mention and always talk about wanting to do more of, which is the Secret League, right, on the Fumble. So we thought it would be worth us having a bit of a conversation about the good points and the bad points of having unofficial teams in Blood Bowl. And when I say unofficial, I mean non-Games Workshop. And it's interesting because if you talk about the NAF and you talk about the NAF World Cup, like it's the unofficial World Cup. And it's a really interesting thing. And the Slan team, which is supported by the NAF, is an unofficial team. But we've got great models out there, great teams out there. And as far as the play style goes, it's such a great team. And we love the secret teams, and they add more depth, more play styles. And actually, we thought it would be good to talk through in what ways they are good for Blood Bowl and in what ways they are bad for Blood Bowl. So we're going to be focusing on Slan, and we're going to be focusing on some of the other Secret League teams. But, Trips, what did you spot yesterday or today?
So Tour Play have started to add some unofficial teams. So they've added in the old Amazons, the old Khorne, the old Norse. Slan are there, but Squig and Troll have made it over from Fumble onto Tour Play and are now available to add into leagues,
which is amazing. Like,
yeah.
I mean, this starts to break down the boundary between what is official and what is unofficial. Because if you're starting on Blood Bowl and you're like, hey, create a team, we're using Tour Play, and you see the team is right there, you don't know if it's Games Workshop, if it's not Games Workshop, and Slan is like the middle ground of this one. I'm just gonna keep an eye on the chat here because I think this is where we're gonna start getting some some juicy bits. Don't let them die. I've just finished painting mine. Yeah. I love that. I don't want Slan to die. I think they're too much fun. But no, I was really surprised to see Tour Play add these, but also mega excited. And I think you can agree that this one is probably Brute Fun's fault. But the fact that they've added in some unofficial teams in there is phenomenal. So before we kind of start the talk, I think it'd probably be worth, if you haven't heard of Fumble, Fumble is a JavaScript client that allows you to play side-on games of Blood Bowl using what can only be described as Pokemon sprites. It's that kind of graphics. It's wicked. It just plays full Blood Bowl rules, the real Blood Bowl rules, and then there's this little thing inside it called the Secret League, and the Secret League has about 100 teams that have been developed by the Secret League community, and thousands of games have been played with them. We've played a couple of leagues using them. We've filmed a league using them. We've played a tournament using some of these rules, and it just adds a massive amount of depth and other stuff to Blood Bowl that it's just
variety.
Yeah. It's like modding for the community, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And Blood Bowl is a pretty good game to do that with because it's pretty, the core rules are actually pretty solid. But I feel like we're going to stray a little bit in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the positives and the negatives of, well, can we start with the Slan team? and then
Sure.
we'll kind of expand into other teams, because I feel like the Slan is an interesting point, because it did originate with Bretonnians, Demons of Khorne, and Slan being the three kind of NAF teams that were just agreed on and kind of folded into the rules. And then when 2020 came in, the NAF updated those rules so that teams could still be used, and they were just there. And then Bretonnians got slain and replaced with Imperial Nobility. They added a big guy, so generally speaking, quite happy with that transaction. Khorne, I know that we lost the Bloodthirster, but actually the Khorne roster is great fun. So, but those two rosters were basically made null and void, and that left us with a single team, Slan. And well, I don't know, guys, we've got Slan kicking around. Is it good or bad for Blood Bowl? What do you think?
I think it's good. I'm going to say fundamentally, my strong, belief and foundation on this is more is better, and it gives more options. The team isn't broken. It's not like it's causing any problems. I think there's a lot more, egregious outliers in the game than the existence of the Slan team, if you want to argue on that front. And yeah, I just really, I think this is, I don't want to preface the negatives too much, but I think thematically I can see some issues there, which I will touch on in a minute. But I don't think they cause any problems. I think it's great. They fit a variety of team which we don't have in the game. So yeah.
Where do you sit on this one, Trips?
So I think for me, Slan are different to quite a lot of the unofficial teams, because they've been unofficially official, officially unofficial for nearly all versions of Blood Bowl. They've always been in the and that team there. They've been a team that you can play at tournaments for a number of years. So even though they're an unofficial team and there's not a defined set of GW rules, let alone miniatures for them, they've not been the thing that you've really had to try hard to find a game against them. Slan have been, we've had probably one Slan team at 3 or 4 tournaments at least.
Okay. So this is where, before we started recording this segment, we're kind of like rock, paper, scissors, and I said I'll take the role of trying to present some of the concerns, or some of the concerns that are out there about unofficial teams, and I think Slan is a great place to start with that. The issue with it is twofold, I think, or at least one of the things you could be concerned about with the Slan team. I mean, I got to preface this by saying I personally love the Slan team. I love the fact they're space frogs, and I love the way they play, and I love their catches. Their catches have got to be one of my favourite positionals in the entire game, because they are flying gutter runners, and that's just awesome. And Lars in chats just said Slan they play like no other team, and it's absolutely bang on. And Baron, great for Blood Bowl because they explore the rule set, team-wide pogo that other teams don't have. Andrew, simple, more Blood Bowl is more better, and it's very hard to argue with any of those points. But there is an element of I guess trying to keep up with the game, but also, like Trips, you said, all of our tournaments, generally speaking, have had a Slan team. I mean, if you come into Blood Bowl via Games Workshop, like actual Blood Bowl rules, and you go to the Games Workshop website to find what teams are around, and you go to the Games Workshop rulebooks to see what teams are available, and then you come across this random bouncing frog team at a tournament or in a league, it is that point of like, why are we using homebrew rules? Like, what is this? Like, it's very confusing, and I can see that as a potential negative. Now, there is a lot of TOs will do a really good job of signposting. I know we do, of being like, the Slan team's also available. Here's the link. But we know that tournament rules packs are involved, and we know how often that they're simply not read. So it's kind of a point of like, even though we can signpost, having a team that is just completely unofficial, you got to admit there is an element of potential life-threatening danger there.
Would you say they would have the same problem if that person, let's say it's Bretonian. Let's say if someone's coming along and we have the old Bretonian roster allowed in the game. I know it's similar to Nobility, but let's just say for the sake of argument, Nobility didn't exist. And Bretonian was in that sort of similar state. Would you have the same, do you reckon the sort of responses that you're saying when people are saying, oh, what is this random homebrew team? Would they say that for Bretonian? Or do you think it's the theme of the team that is causing the problem there?
I think it's difficult to say because Nobility replaced Bretonians in the 2020 rule set. Prior to that, Bretonians were available in Blood Bowl 2. So they were a team where you were like, as a Bretonian team, I've played against this on Blood Bowl 2. So there's that element of officialness about it.
It was Slan.
Well, yes.
That's what I mean. Is it a theme thing?
So in your point, actually, the theme, they really screwed the pooch on that one. Changing Space Frogs to Circus Kislev and then back, it's just bad stuff all around. By the way, much prefer Space Frogs. Way dumber, but at least they're in the original Blood Bowl artwork. So at least it's more true to the theme. Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's also probably doubled down in difficulty with Blood Bowl teams because of how many creative versions of Blood Bowl teams there are out there. Like, there's always like a Pokemon team or like the Cutamals. And it's kind of it's a kind of representative miniatures game anyway. That potentially having representative miniatures and then rules that are non-existent. I am over exaggerating everything, but using rules that are free and easy to download could be considered confusing, I suppose.
I think that's a really good point for unofficial teams in general. I think Slan is a bit different because they are much more readily available. You don't have to go out of your way to create a tournament with Slan in. You can have them in with the NAF rule sets and guidance for tournaments. They're in a bog standard tournament build effectively. Whereas a lot of unofficial teams, you've got to go down the slightly mad route to squeeze them in.
So let's argue on this point where is it a team problem? Because we've had unofficial star players and pretty much had nothing but praise for that. Like the Fen Beast. People love the Fen Beast. Would that cause that many problems? Or do you think having a whole team is a lot more?
Well, this is I think the really interesting thing about this topic is Slan are fine. Why are Slan fine and Squigs aren't fine?
Yeah.
Because Slan have always been fine. And it's kind of like this weird circular argument that really starts you asking, like, okay, well, if Slan is fine, then why are the other teams frowned upon? Like, and I know that a big element here that we haven't kind of discussed is like the whole NAF rankings and unofficial teams mean that that game doesn't count, which I just find a really silly way to organise the NAF results. Like, literally just like have a blank team or something against people who aren't registered to the NAF, or a team that is not existent in the NAF, and everything is solved immediately, in my opinion. But I actually wonder if that's the biggest barrier there, is that the Slan are a real team as far as the NAF stats are concerned, but actually the Secret League teams or the mixed leagues or the mixed teams, because I think mixed teams is another great kind of unofficial bit here, where they don't sit in the rankings, it takes it, maybe that's the bit that differentiates it, which is really interesting, because obviously neither Slan or a mixed team or the Squig team, I've wrecked my chair here, my cushions have gone all squiffy, none of them sit in the world of Games Workshop players. It's just weird, isn't it? Like, I would love to include more teams in our leagues and in our tournaments, like in a heartbeat, because like more Blood Bowl is more better, like Ben almost said, and it's like there's no issue, and the teams are pretty balanced and they're pretty fun. You can't go to Games Workshop and get a Slan team. You can go to Games Workshop and get Squigs, so it's like really quite funny in that regard as well. I don't know, what is the point of difference there?
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's this sort of crossover between where people sit on it, and I think you've sort of got two different crowds where some people are they see it sort of as like a pure IP that's very protected, that people will, it's just like we shouldn't deviate from that, because where does it end? If we start allowing random squig teams, are we then going to allow the random like
Space Marine
troll team where stuff like that, where it's okay, it's official Games Workshop because it's Space Marines, but it's not really Blood Bowl. And then there's also the crowd which probably aren't that okay with Slan, because maybe it's like the sort of thematic consistency isn't there. And then they'd be worried about the theme being broken as well. And I think there's that crossover between those two camps, whereas you sort of got the mechanical teams and then the thematic teams. I don't know. I've written down that Games Workshop, we know, keep a level of thematic consistency with their teams. And we discovered that a little bit more after we chatted with Jay at Warhammer World, where they said, what was it with the demon teams? The reason they don't have demons in Blood Bowl is because demons don't exist in Blood Bowl. They're, manifestations of war, and war doesn't happen in the world of Blood Bowl. So
which I
that's
find
why you
really
don't see
strange, given that in Blood Bowl 1,
I find that strange.
the Demons of Khorne team was in Blood Bowl 1. I did kind of consider
I think it's a retcon more than anything.
Yeah,
but maybe that's where they've been cleaning up the lore and the detail, because it was Demons of Khorne and it now is.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, Trip. I think it was a case that it was just Warhammer Fantasy Battle, but with Blood Bowl the game, whereas now it's the Blood Bowl world. And I think, to your point, Ben, they've done a really good job of kind of building it as its own world. And with that thematic consistency.
Hence, we probably won't ever see Slan, because Slan aren't a thing. They're just not.
They were a thing in the rule book.
But not, and so were demons. So that's what I mean. If they're like saying this is the new Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
This isn't a thing we're going to see, and they're going to keep that consistent. We might see squigs in the future, but
Ben just wants
right now
Games
Workshop are there being like,
completely
but
biased.
Like right now they're just trying to keep this sort of level thing, and I think people are on board with following that because they are the holders of the IP, and I think that's important to some people. Some people, don't give a toss about the IP. I think more in that camp myself, but yeah.
It is funny because we had this chat about miniatures agnostic rules. I think me, Milton, and stuff, or in one of the chats. It's kind of a case of like, I like the look of that third party game, but I can't be bothered because it doesn't mean anything. Whereas there's this genuine, like, there is a reality element that the Games Workshop world, the Blood Bowl teams in that world, or in Age of Sigmar, the factions, like, they mean something. I think it's got to do with human feudalism, right? This is my clan. I identify with this clan. Like, for me, I am Abzan through and through. Black, green, white are my colours in Magic the Gathering, and I am Abzan. That's just me, and I identify as an Abzan person. Like, give me Dragonlord, Dromakar, and a Seedroy, and I'm there. And it's kind of like, I think that thing's really important. We see this with Ian Warhammer. He loves painting stuff that's Games Workshop, because he feels like it's not about brand identity or anything so silly as that. But there is just a kind of like, it's like playing Magic the Gathering with a card you wrote yourself, or you're participating in the lore of that world, and you're participating in that league, in that world, in that sphere. And it's a really interesting one, because, like, if you think about, imagine playing 40k with a homebrew faction.
I was about to say a homebrew rule set. Oh, imagine. Yeah.
With a better homebrew rule set.
I think I was going to say, I think we've seen that.
Baron's actually kind of worded it in a much less bad way than me, significantly so. He said, I must admit that I love it when something becomes official in a game. It almost legitimizes it, kind of makes it real. I feel like that when we get DLCs for a game, which may have just been a community mod before. It legitimizes it is exactly the phrase I'm looking for, which is absolutely bonkers when you think about it. But but there is a tipping point where all of a sudden this thing is legitimized, and it is a real thing, and therefore it is a real thing that has more value to it than when it is not a real thing. And And I don't know. That's such a true thing, right?
I don't know. I'd actually push back really hard on that. Partly because it's spicier to do so, but there's, I don't know if the legitimacy is something really that I would agree with. I think often there is a raw. It's going to sound really like wanky, like armchair philosophy kind of thing, but I think there's like this sort of raw engagement of community-made things that are kind of agreed on, which I find genuinely fascinating and really engaging. And taking it away from sort of like this is an arbiter of this is real. Like, okay, I'm going to use an example because I'm rambling. I'm going to use an example. Do you guys know like SCP?
No. Do you need a cream for that?
Some people in the chat probably do, but it's basically like it's like a community-led narrative sort of enterprise where you've got a whole bunch of people creating stories, creepy stories about like phenomena, and then the community deciding this is cool and basically sharing them, rating them, and then they go onto this like database and it becomes part of like the official canon of like these like phenomena that people are investigating.
Hang on, is that creepypasta?
It comes from that. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That is sort of like in that kind of community kind of thing. And it's just sort of like collaborative development, which I think feels way more like human and legitimate to me than a corporation saying, we own this IP, so we have the final say on whether it is official or not. And you're going to like it and buy it. I don't know. I know that's abstracting very literally, like, you know.
Well, no, I think there's an element here which very much mirrors society, which is getting very philosophical. And Bruty put a comment in the chat we kind of need to touch on in a second. But it's I think the bit around that the legitimacy element is that there is a comfort factor knowing that everybody is playing by the same rules. And whether that is in a game, whether that is in a format in like Magic or a version of a video game, or in like local laws. And I think the pandemic is a cracking one of this, because most of the rage came out of the pandemic when people were playing by different rules. It doesn't matter what rule set you wanted to play by. If somebody else was playing on a rule set that was different to your agreed one, it created that like, well, I don't know, you know, and all that kind of umming and ahhing. And actually, I think there's an element of there like, and Magic the Gathering, I guess, sorry to bring it up so much, but it's just a really, like, Magic the Gathering is a macrocosm of game philosophy, I think. And Commander is a 100 card deck. Every card's got to be its own thing, and was a complete community mod forever. And for a long time, there were people who played Commander and they had a great time. And they legitimately were the weirdos of Magic. Like, I remember I used to go to Friday Night Magic and there'd be some, you know, very lovely chap with a hat, and he'd be playing Commander with another guy with a hat, and everyone was like, oh yeah, they just play Commander. And everyone else is like, right, I'm here to play Standard. Let's play by the Standard rules. Let's tap, concede. And there were just these two weirdos in the corner having a great time with their community.
I was going to say, who's having more fun there?
Right? and then Magic, you know, Wizards were like, we can sell things to those weirdos. And now everyone's like, oh yeah, Commander. Yeah, no, I like to play that sometimes. Yeah, it's cool. And it's that element of like,
you not see that as a bit of a shame?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's how humans work. And I think we see that in society. We see that in genuine like conformism. But if everybody is playing by those rules, if it is the accepted way to do something, it matters more. We see it in the NFL as well. Everyone's like, yeah, NFL is American football. The XFL, you're the weirdos playing Commander in the corner. Well, let me tell you, the XFL is better. The rule set is better. The football is not as good, but the game is good. And it's brilliant. And it's kind of like the XFL I see as the secret league of American football. And it's kind of like people dismiss it because it's not real. And it's just,
let's develop on that.
Astonishing.
Let's develop on that with the sort of title of the discussion which was like, you know, unofficial teams good for the game? Well, what you're saying is unofficial teams created by people having a good time. When they get adapted, because maybe they gain a level of popularity, people see them as being quite good. Let's say the Squig team, we're talking about it all the time. It's showing up on Tour Play. We're getting, what's 7? What?
Sevens.
Oh, sevens, exactly. Yeah, the sevens. Sorry, I thought you meant there's 7 secret teams coming.
No, that was really vague of me.
Yeah. And like Brute Fund's made a team. It's on Tour Play. Is this going to like this sort of community like driven engagement? Is that going to lead to officialization of teams? And I think if you're whichever way you look at it, it's always going to be a good thing.
Are you saying
that
if
you're basically crowdsourcing ideas and
Tour Play legitimizes these teams a bit, Ben? Is that how you?
Yeah, no, 100% do. 100% do. I see Tour Play right now as a community engagement of the game. Like it's the community coming together to expand upon and make the game better.
Tour Play kind of is the way Blood Bowl is played now in a lot of places, which is incredible, really. Now, Bruty put it in there from. Okay, I'm going to try that again with words. From a philosophical level, homebrew teams demystify game design and give the community ownership of the game as opposed to just renting it. Same argument with D&D.
Yes. Is he single?
I have a question for you, Ben. Are you Brute Fun?
Yeah, I know. I think we're on this very similar wavelength here.
Man, that would be a hell of a plot twist. All of a sudden, we're in an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Anyway, the legitimacy angle is a shortcut to vetting. It's outsourcing the testing to others in a sense, but not belittling. People are busy. Playtesting is frustrating. That's interesting. The instinct to conform is some old wiring. I think, we're going to go into the religion angle here, and I don't think the podcast here is the right place for that. But let me tell you, £5 bottle of wines in Nottingham. That's where that goes. Stoney says secret teams are like house rules. As long as everybody who's playing agrees, it shouldn't matter what anyone else says. And that's an excellent point, Stoney. And we saw that in Tombstone. Trips, did you come to Tombstone?
Yeah. So Tombstone was my first Blood Bowl tournament returning to Blood Bowl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Welcome to the deep end.
So I think it was a really good example of how secret or unofficial teams are a bit scary. I remember going through the rule pack, looking at them, and I was like, oh, some of these teams look really amazing. No idea how to play them. In fact, no idea how to play nearly every team there at all. And that was a bit weird. The difference then to now was the ability to source an unofficial team then very, very difficult. Now, 3D files are absolutely everywhere, and you don't have to buy 7 boxes to get an unofficial team. You have to print 11 miniatures. And I think that's lowered the bar for unofficial teams, particularly on tabletop, because you can actually put an unofficial team together without it being a small fortune that you've got to spend or loads of screen sculpt work and customization.
I think you're right. Tombstone, by the way, was a tournament we ran in the olden times where we had a horror themed thing where people could run normal teams, or we added a few of the horror teams in from Secret League, just to be spooky, and it was wicked fun.
Yeah, anything that said chaos or anything that was chaos or a zombie or a skeleton in it,
or a werewolf. The Ben's werewolf team brought in it brought in the Tombstone Massacre. That Milton still brings up with Ben, I don't know. I think Slan stands out because very much what you just said, Trips, is it is a readily available team, not the most readily available. Although now Punga have, there's always been a good couple of Slan teams around there. If you wanted to play Slan, you could do it. It wasn't the easiest, but it's probably easier to get a Slan team than a great vampire team right now. And vampires are legit.
Probably, actually, yeah.
And quite frankly, until Realm of Paths dropped the Tomb Kings this week, this month, then actually Tomb Kings are another team where it's kind of like, you can get some alright teams, but now there's a good team. And high elves, with Ogni, dropping a great high elf team. We're kind of ticking these boxes off. And now Brute Fun is going, you know what? These teams are legit. Like, even if they're not Games Workshop rulebook official, they're legit. And this is a fun team that I want to help people represent on the tabletop. And that is now going to be a case of like, would you like to play a Squig team? What's a Squig team? The rules are on tour play. Oh, okay, cool. Can I run them in my league? Maybe, if your league guy's all right with it. Where do I get a team from? Brute Fun.
Podcast shop.
Yeah, exactly. Like, jump on Etsy, and £35 later, you've got yourself a Squig team. And you're like, this is mad. Like, this is a completely different style of team. This is a completely different game. And the same with Slan. £40 later, you've got yourself a Slan team that will play like no other team. And that's just the value of that is phenomenal. Like, I don't know of any other game except maybe like one of the epic card games that you can pay, £30-40 for a complete expansion that will just completely change a different way of playing the game. And I really want us to see more of this, but like you just said, Trips, this stuff is different. Like, this is different. This is more. And we kind of talked about Blood Bowl, and we genuinely believe that the more teams is just better, right? The more access, the more different ways to play is great. But the more you have, the more overwhelming it is, and the more levels of not necessarily difficulty, but the more levels deep you have to go, the harder it is. The kind of, pick up the rulebook. I got my teams in the rulebook, easy. Pick up a Spike or the box of Norse, and the rules are in there. Okay, that's fine too. That's easy -1. Slan team, easy -5, because I have to know they exist. I then have to know the models and then find the rules. Like, okay, that's fine. Then you've got the Squig team, which, quite frankly, because it's on tour play at this point, I think is going to be just. I think they're catching up to Slan. Models from Brute Fun. Rules on tour play.
Yeah.
I think the accessibility there is really catching up.
Yeah, it's basically there. I think I'd much rather run. Well, actually, the Punga Slan teams are also pretty good. I was going to say I think I'd much rather run that Squig team than any other Slan team I've seen, but both are pretty good.
I also think the unofficial teams, they fit much better and much easier with sort of experienced players who probably have played with 15 of the teams and know the teams and go, well, actually, I'd like a new team and add in. They're not the place you would send a new player. Oh yeah, go and look at an unofficial team. No, go and play a more vanilla team.
Well, you started with goblins, Ben.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why Tour Play have chosen these two teams. I don't care. These are probably the two teams I would have chosen from the Fumble Secret League.
Yeah.
The Squig team.
Squig definitely. Troll, I'm not sure, because it is a bad team.
Yeah, but I think that's the point. Like, these are both tier 3 teams, and when you're introducing new stuff, introducing bad stuff, well, if you want to play, it's not, you're not going to cause any issues. Like, I think that's probably the most important thing for these teams is if you start introducing like an S rank team, then that's going to delegitimize the whole thing potentially.
Mm-hmm. I actually totally agree with that. Yeah,
there's not a shark in sight.
It's a hard sell.
Oh, the Stromfels team is amazing. There's some good shark models out there, actually. Yes, it is a bad team. There's some bad teams in there as well, and there's a real prevalence of claws. Although in this edition, that's not quite so bad. Talking of claws, the Squig team has got claws. You've got the Squig herders. You've got 2 cave squigs, strength 4, up to 4 Squig hoppers, again strength 4 with claws. Giant cave squig, strength 5 with claws. Mangler squig, strength 7, ball and chain with claws. Squig gobber, strength 5 bombardier with claws. And it's kind of a bit like that. The troll team's amazing. 0 to 16 goblins, 0 to 6 snotlings, 2 trolls who are normal trolls, 2 river trolls who are trolls with foul appearance and disturbing presence, and 2 stone trolls who are trolls with better armor and iron hard skin. So it's just a 6 troll team, which I gotta say,
they count the Squig team. The iron hard skin finally, being relevant. Yeah.
finally a purpose. Now, both of these teams are individually very interesting to play. I imagine the troll team's just garbage, which I'm fine with. Like, that looks fun. Like, I think we need to play some games with these teams. Like, ultimately, I think we need to get them to the pitch. Brute Fun says, I made a secret team full of Amazon blockers. This is totally fair. One thing that works in Blood Bowl favor for secret teams is the shared traits and skills. There's something new. There's nothing new in the Squig team in terms of rules.
Yeah,
and that's that.
It's more fair than the Games Workshop ones.
I was going to say, there's less new rules in those. Baron says, I think Punga and Brute Fun in particular really help with making secret teams more real. If you're not a whiz at conversions, you can now buy/print. Squig, Fumble Kislev, Undead Pirate, Clan Scry. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's becoming way more accessible. So, definitely the threshold, like the accessibility element is a challenge, right? The legitimacy element of it, I think is a real thing for most players. Not necessarily like from a competitive player. Absolutely. Look, you're introducing floaty, flighty rules. I don't want that because I want my comp environment, and that's fine. Like, that's fine. Medium players, I think it's going to be more a case of like, right, this is interesting, probably fun. Didn't know that existed. I think there's going to be so much didn't know that existed. And then I think the point of it is not just the legitimacy, but I think it's the credibility. There is this hilarious thing that games can be balanced. Games will never be balanced. There will always be the winningest stuff, and there will always be the worst stuff in every environment, in every meta. But there's just this kind of acceptance that if in a Games Workshop meta something is OP or garbage, they will set the bar for what is okay and what will get fixed. And we've seen this with some tier changes, with some rules changes, with some star player cost changes, with the match play guide coming in to kind of put some megastar rules in there. There is this kind of like, there is a trust that the game's owner is also the curator of balance to the point of not entire absurdity or brokenness. And when you introduce non-sanctioned, non-official rules, that I think that credibility does get questioned as whether this team works right, whether it's fair. What do you guys think about that point?
I know where you're coming from with that. I think personally I disagree with the attitude of that, but I understand that is the reality of it. Especially after trying to convince so many people to play Homebrew 40k, and it's just kind of like,
that's not proper, that's not real, that's not legit.
Like, it looks cool, it looks fun. We'll admit it's better in every way. I don't think they say that, but I'd like to imagine they do. Yeah, ultimately it's just for a lot of people that's just not what they want to do. They want to do what they know and what everyone else knows and what they're part of.
What do you reckon, Trips?
Blood Bowl, I think Blood Bowl, because it's got a tight rule set, and as long as you're not entering new skills or traits, I think there's quite a lot of room to play with the teams there. But there is the ability to accidentally get a really different unofficial team that are a bit broken. We saw it when we played some Secret League on Fumble, where you get some teams you're just like, no, that is
miserable.
That is not tier 1. That is tier 0.
Imagine dwarves where the troll slayers are strength 4.
Yeah. You just get the whole.
That was made worse by the old Stata rules as well, where not on that team with strength 4 dwarves, they then had a random strength 4 other dwarf as well, which just was the worst combination. But sorry, Trips.
So I think as long as it's experimental, but not to the point where it's not Blood Bowl.
Yeah,
that creative space is there, and to be truly looked at as it's not official, it's not part of the mainstream, but actually it is a good way to brew up things in detail. And if it works, well, maybe it'll become official, or it'll work through. Yeah, it needs a bit of lore behind it and how it will fit in, but who's ever going to moan if you end up going, actually, that's a really good team that are going to become the 31st unofficial team?
Where are we now with teams? We've got 28 Games Workshop plus Slan, is that right?
Around that, yeah. I remember the exact number.
28 plus Slan.
32 is the holy number. That's the dream, right? Because then you get the NFL thing. This 32 is the sweet spot of teams, I think. Trolls, Squigs, Slan. We're one team short of having a full spread of 2 conferences of 4 divisions of 4. Brute Fun says, I'm taking credit if Games Workshop ever makes a Squig team. That is very fair, except I went to Nottingham and begged for a Squig team.
Yeah, the response wasn't positive on that front.
No. Yeah. I got a better response to, what about a giant team? At least the designer was like, well, how would that work? And I was like, oh, here we go. Giant team confirmed.
And that's where the secret teams are really good, because there are 83 playable secret teams in Funball, and then I think there's 3 that are now no longer playable because they've got weird special rules that haven't come through to the main set. And then I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 that are under development or under testing at the moment. But that's a lot of design and play space from a reasonably tight rule set to be able to go, actually, there's another 80 variants out there. It goes back to the whole, how would you feel, Ben, if all of a sudden a Skaven variant team was available to play? Would you play it?
I imagine if there's a really good clan, like Squirrel one.
Depends if it was official or not. Well, no, I think we can probably bring this to the next and final point that I had on my little sheet, which was about that agreement. And the reason I kind of say that agreement to play is because if you think about Bonehead Bowl, where we have the mixed teams, you go in eyes open, and you go in knowing that you're playing a different variant with a different access. And I think that, when you call it out in a tournament environment, like this is a tournament and the fun is that you've got a Fen Beast, or this is a tournament and the theme is it's mixed teams, you've got that access, or it's Tombstone and the theme is you've got horror teams. I think if your players go into it, and I think someone did point this out in chat in very, very much words, which is a case of if everyone's playing by the same rules, if everyone kind of agrees that that's okay, then you're kind of, you go into this sub meta. And I mean, BT, you and I always talk about like the potential of having a season of Blood Bowl, like, and like they do with the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Compendium Generals handbook things, where they're like, and this year is the year of the beast, and there are these sub rules, the core game's the same, the armies are the same, but here's a little scenario and tweak pack. Actually, that would be perfect for Blood Bowl, because then you could be like, oh, okay, you know what we're going to be doing? We're going to be playing in the the World's Edge Mountains Cup. Here's your source book with a few different dwarf teams and some squig teams. And would you like we're going to be having a Lustria would have been great, right? The case of here's the Lustria Cup. In the Lustria Cup, you've got these sub factions as well, and you could be like, oh, should we play with the Lustrian rules? And actually, everyone's like, oh yeah, because there's other things you can do with that. And I don't think it matters whether it's a book, you're playing in a setting, you're playing in a different realm, you're playing with. I think it's just about that agreement that you're buying into it.
The social contract, right?
It is, very much better. Yeah. It's the social contract, and I think Slan are different because that social contract was done before, and kind of by playing with the NAF rules, you accept that team is part of that social contract, and I think that's like front loaded with that. Whereas this stuff is new, therefore it feels like that sits outside of that kind of established norm. And I think that actually having a setting, having a tournament, having a period of time where this is kind of viable, is probably the best way to get these teams to the forefront of reality. And I have a question for you both on this. What do you think it would take for these teams to be as legit as Slan?
Okay, spicy take. An open-minded player base.
Pick a
I
game,
just think
Ben.
if
That
there's
doesn't
a
exist. That does not exist, except those
I-
those weird commander people playing in the corner with their hats.
It's like what you said with it's a social contract, and I think while there is definitely, an understanding for people who want to play with all fun new homebrew stuff, to be like, oh, there might be people not okay with that. I'd also question why the people not okay with that aren't okay with people wanting to try something new inside the hobby. And I think just having those discussions is literally all it takes. So what I just mean is when I say just the open-mindedness is just the only thing I think would take for these to become as official as Slan is having the conversations with people who you play games with, being just like, does this sound cool? Look at these miniatures like that people have made that would like totally work in theme with this team with the rest of the game. Like, I just think it's those conversations that need to be had, and I think just sort of the expectations are where things fall over.
I'd agree, but I'd say if you're going to go down the line of using unofficial or doing unofficial, because of that almost social contract of it, I wouldn't just tweak and play and just add in one team. If you're going to do it, almost do it properly. And the mixed teams was a really good example of it. That was the whole thing. It was mixed teams. It's madness. You're going to see teams you will never, ever see again. Some for very good reasons, some for very painful reasons. But that's really the thing. It's not like you're going to just accidentally bump into one official team because you've got 20 players in your league and one person's running an unofficial team. If you're going to do it with quite a few, play it and test it, and that will make it the norm, because that's how everything becomes the norm, where it goes from being that thing that you see every once in a blue moon to going, oh yeah, actually I've seen that team. I've played them 10 times. I don't mind playing them.
Sorry, I got distracted by chat at that point. I just saw capital letters, and I'm like, what is going on? Brute Fun said, I think we're already there. Like tour play models, content creators promoting it, and Adam Pike is just like, Brute Fun, your teams need to come with a warning. If you play Blood Bowl with these, Games Workshop will come for you. That just made me laugh. Baron says, I don't think they're far behind Slan already. And, the folks in chat said very much along the same things. Like, actually, it's there. Like
yeah, exactly.
What you're saying, BT, is that the rules are there, and actually you just need a bunch of people who are happy to play with them. Trip says, actually, you know what, you need that understanding, and it was interesting. I think mixed teams went down so well because the promise of that status quo that was gone. Like, there was no balance. Like, there is no balance here. This is all unexplored territory. And I think what you said there is actually, if we introduced the Were team to standard Blood Bowl in the same way that we do see this when a new team lands, like Amazon's landed, I personally adore the roster now. It's just interesting, right? But obviously it was kind of like way strength 4, like end of the world. Like, this is different, this is broken, this is OP. Tournaments, they've gone down in win percentage. Like, they've dropped to mid-table. I'm sure that's just because people are trying to figure out that the blitzers are not blitzers, they're catchers without catch. It's like there's always that learning curve of, this is different, I don't know how to play against it, I don't know how to play with it, therefore it's either trash or really good. So I think what you're saying, Trips, is good. I think you're right. I think to kind of legitimize these, you need to kind of be like, boom, we're going to use this team, and either then you go, these teams work well together in a concert in a restricted environment, or that team's fine, like, be interesting to play against humans. Which I think is where you'll find these teams are, especially the Squig team, because the Squig team will just destroy itself, and the Troll team is going to do nothing except give me a great reason to print off a bunch of Brute Fun trolls. which is all I'm living for. Oh, Bruty, I printed out some of your night goblins at 60%, 65% scale to be snotlings, and they work beautifully. So that's cool. So if you want to just expand the night goblin team to have, all a couple of stilties, then we're there. Yeah, then we're absolutely there with that. Baron says, I'll bring undead pirates if you do another secret team tourney. And I have a Slanesh idea concerning the Were team. Ooh. Oh, that's Ben's, that's Ben's language there.
That's so true. As you mentioned snotlings, Ben, I am excited to show off my mecha snotlings that I've been working on for College of Life. Yeah. They're really fun. And I want a team with them as well. So,
with mecha snotlings?
Yeah, just a mecha snotling team would be pretty good.
So, what can we do you think, to help promote this? Or just kind of, I don't know, should we? Like, I mean, can I show the picture of the snotlings, Ben?
Oh, yeah, if you want, yeah.
Like, should we play games with them? Oh, look at the mecha snotlings.
So I think we're very fortunate. All three of us own 3D printers. All three of us own more than one team. And let's just go with it's in the more than one team category. I mean, Ben's got 2 boxes of miniatures he can make any team out of in his garage, or at least make bits out of.
Yeah.
So we've got the ability to actually play with the secret teams and give them a go. And we did it in the old rule set, and it was really good fun as a difference. And some of the teams were lovely, some of them were horrible. Some of them, after one game, the coach was like, "Oh my God, why have I picked this team? This is going to be the most painful thing going forward." I think it's just a design space to show people and play them. And actually, a good way to do it is to show people by playing games and detail. Some people will not like it because it is not one of the official teams, and that's fine. Play with your official teams. Play as long as you're playing Blood Bowl. That's the important thing.
No one's going to get mad at you for playing official teams, and I think that's important. It's like I feel like a lot of the discomfort is quite one way. So I think it's a lot of, it's not like you're going to have issues however you play Blood Bowl. I think official will always be there.
Do you think, so if we did some Secret League team videos, like tabletop ones, because we've got great access to stuff now, do you think it would be better to pick 3-4 teams and do a cheeky little mini kind of couple of games against each other in the Secret League format? Or would it be a case of let's play Squigs against Skaven or Squigs against Amazon? What do you think would be a better buy-in?
So
I actually think. Oh, sorry, you go in. No, you.
I think to start off with, going full, because you're playing with secret against secret rather than doing the will a secret team take down a Skaven team, and also there is that natural imbalance of whoever is playing the Skaven team will be like, I know how this team works. I know all the pros and cons.
I volunteer.
Yeah, let's not do that. Yeah.
Whereas if you're playing, there is that sort of new team learning as well of playing with a secret team. And we've seen that when we've played with new teams. Playing them against another less experienced team is actually a better learning experience, better and more fun, because you're really learning. You're learning about your own team and your opponent's team as well.
So we've got Dungeon Bowl starting to film next week. Then we'll be moving on to the next Bonehead Championship, where we normally have about 6 teams because of the filming schedules and stuff like that. What do you think the impact would be? Do you think it would be overall a positive or negative thing if one of the 6 teams was a secret team, and particularly one of the 2 teams that are on tour play, because there is an inherent legitimacy in the case of the rules are on tour play for you right now.
One of the 2 teams and not the troll team.
Oh, I don't mind the troll team. I think the Squig
really
team is obviously the shoe-in.
Yeah, I think that'll be totally fine. I think you're never going to please everyone with whatever you do. And I think just to have more fun with it is probably more important than deciding, oh, should we throw this unofficial team in? Yeah, so.
Baron says Secret Sevens was awesome. So a little tourney league.
Secret Sevens was awesome.
Secret Sevens.
Secret Sevens was great, yeah.
Maybe.
And again, the Tombstone tournaments we've had were some of my best memories of playing competitive Blood Bowl. I think it's just such a good time and really memorable.
Baron says, how about a 4-way Death Bowl Secret Team special?
Oh. That's like a headache with your migraine. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'll bring the ones.
Yeah. play trolls, Ian, and then you can blame it on that.
I mean, that's interesting. That is interesting. That would be very interesting.
It would be messy.
It would in theory be messy.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that one. Bruty says Secret versus Secret has the added bonus of everyone coming to it fresh. Yeah, I mean, that's what the guys have said.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's semi-decided then. We'll finish up Dungeon Bowl, then we'll do something with Secret Teams, and then maybe carry it over into the Bonehead Championship with a Secret team. Maybe we could do a secret tryouts where the winning team goes through to the Bonehead Championship.
Yeah. Sevens is a good format to try secret teams in because you've got less minis to source to start off with, and the games are quicker and you can rattle through. It does concentrate you more on a couple of positionals and details as opposed to here are my 7-8 trolls on the line of scrimmage, and if I roll well,
squig hoppers all over the shot. That would be absolutely amazing. I think the troll team would struggle a bit in sevens.
Yeah, it's a shame they're not line trolls, isn't it? Like, that would be good.
I think it's a cost thing. Although you could probably merrily get four trolls on the roster.
Oh, easily.
Where's my team gone? So
4 trolls, 3 snotlings is going to be affordable, right?
Ooh, snotlings are positional for the troll team.
Oh, they are, aren't they? Okay, yeah, that'll be tricky.
Yeah. So you'd need 3 goblins. 120k. That gives you 480. You could then take 4 trolls, averaging 120k. I don't think you could do it. 115, 230, then 480.
But you can.
Oh, you can. You can exactly do it.
Look at that. Well-designed team. See, sometimes these secret teams are well-designed and thought out.
Stoney said, like, this is something that I think is quite clever. He said, with all the ones, maybe Trips needs a Cthulhu team where you need ones to fend off madness.
That's awesome. The way to go, yeah.
We do need some Cthulhu. 4 hoppers on a sevens team. I know, right? That's the thing. That's the thing. If you're going to add a secret team to the Bonehead Championship, you should add 2. That way we can see each other against secret and official teams. Interesting one. I'll bring the ones, Trips. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think it's good. I think there's definitely. I mean, one thing that is unanimously decided on, I think, by everybody is that the design space is absolutely monstrously big, like beyond infinite. I think we have probably touched maybe 2-3% of the design space potential of Blood Bowl. Maybe a bit more than that, but I mean, it's just awesome. It's just awesome.
And that's into secret unofficial teams. Where would they fit in Dungeon Bowl? And we've already touched on sevens, but yeah.
We do need a giant team with giants, and I'm just looking for proper giants with Noblars. That's all you need. That's all you need to give me. Like maybe like a little stunty positional just to make it a little bit more interesting. But that's it. That's all I'm looking for. Come on, we can do it. Right. Anyway, guys, any more on that, or should we wrap up for the night?
I think that's good. I think that's a good time.
Yeah.
I'm very inspired now.
Me too.
I've got my creative mind going here.
I'm just excited because I was going to run Brute Fun Goblins / Squigs as Goblins in the next league, but now I can run them Squigs, so even better.
With Squigs, yeah. I mean, I hope that the Night Goblin roster gets added to Tour Play, because I'm really torn between Squigs and Night Goblins. Obviously, Squigs are amazing, but the Night Goblin roster, just because they've got the Netters, there's just and the Madcap Mushroom Addict. It's just so much fun that I don't know. I think We'll have to see different
We
ones.
do have to remember to persuade our league commissioner to turn the teams on as well.
Oh, persuade, bully. There's all sorts of options.
Yeah, it's all that.
Ian's not opposed to a couple of bribes. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, guys, let's wrap up for the night. Patrons, thank you ever so much for joining us. It's always good fun to have you there, and I enjoy these episodes absolutely immensely. But it is time for us to wrap up. Trips, thanks ever so much for bouncing on tonight.
No problem.
BT, thank you ever so much. You know,
Such as always.
very, very calm today. I'll have to try and add a bit more spice to the next episode for you. And on the next
I've
episode
done a few bottles before.
of the Bonehead Podcast, we'll be talking UK politics.
Proud.
You can't fit giants into Dungeon Bowl. They can't get through the door. Yeah, that's fair enough. Right. Thank you very much, guys. We're going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more content. Happy blocking.